I built a six-figure automotive brand starting with nothing. Let's get into it. Most car guys spend thousands of dollars on their builds. They never make a dollar back. I was doing the same thing. I was confused. I was putting tons of money into my builds, as any car enthusiast does, working a regular day-to-day job. But I knew I wanted to start something bigger. I knew there was something that, I wanted to create. I wanted to be creative. And I didn't know really if there was an option really to monetize my hobby or passion. So in this video, I'm gonna do exactly that. I'm gonna show you the process that I will walk you through, that I went through myself, and I will go through the exact steps that I took to turn my automotive content into a full-time income. And it is now my career. And I'm gonna show you guys how you can do the same thing. So it's a lot easier than you might think. And I'm gonna show you how I did all this without having to spend a ton of upfront capital on building an insane car or having any partnerships or sponsors. And if you guys want an exact copy of this document, I have a full breakdown of this entire system that I'm about to show you. I will put this doc down below in the link below. It's inside my free community, so that is in the description down below. Now, here was the issue. Here was my issue, and you guys might be able to relate to this. I was posting automotive content, while working my job, and I had no real strategy. I had no idea what I was doing, what I was posting. I was just, sending anything into the blue ocean of whatever this social media, space is these days. We're talking 5 years ago now, but again, I was posting with no real strategy. I was spending a ton of my money on my builds, and just kind of winging it. I was trying to live, the automotive lifestyle, but I had nothing to back it up. But I knew that there was, something possible with creating content while working, when building a cool car. So I was spending a ton of money on my cars, on my builds with $0 in return. I had no idea how YouTube actually worked, when I started out back in 2020. And I had no clue how YouTube, was supposed to pay, for something like this. But I knew that there was a method. I knew that there was some kind of available process for me to dive into to start actually monetizing this hobby. And I saw that obviously YouTube has been around for many, many years by the time I started, and I knew I wanted to start my channel, but I had no real clear path to growing my channel, absolutely zero path or idea on how I could monetize that besides just hoping that the views, explode and make me, enough money to pay my bills and to continue to put it back in that content. But really, I was treating it like a hobby. I was treating it like, just whenever I can, I'll get to it. And I wasn't treating it like an actual business. And that's the problem there. And of course, if you want this to maintain your hobby, that's okay. You can still make a pretty good side income from this. But at the same time, you really need to treat this with respect on what you want it to be. If you want this to become your full-time job and you want to go full-time with automotive content, and social media, then you have to treat it like a job. You have to treat it like a business. So that's what I started to do. I started to take it seriously. So here's a few of the steps that I took that got me to the point of really starting to understand how to grow and how to get this thing to turn into an actual business. So what I did was I stopped creating randomly and I started studying actual winning videos. This was a game changer in my path and my career with this. I started studying winning videos that were working and that had proven success. And I was remixing those into my own style, and then I would create that piece of content that would then go and blow up and make thousands of views, generate me income, we're talking, it's taken a little while, but at the same point, once I found out that I needed to stop treating it like a hobby and just creating random content, blowing it out into the ecosystem and started replicating success and studying winning videos, I studied for hours on end. Hours on end. I had multiple documents, spreadsheets, like documents full of just winning videos, what worked, what didn't, why did they work, and why did they not. And I focused really heavily on what they did right, especially on the titles and thumbnails. That is huge. Packaging is super important. It's something that I've realized along my path. But of course, you have to do this with consistency. If I were to do this once every month or every few months, then there would have been no real long-term growth here. But what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to stick to an actual schedule. I'm going to start a schedule and I'm going to post once a week, every single single month. And I would post 3 to hopefully 5 times a day on short form platforms. But non-negotiable, my first was a video a week. I needed to maintain my consistency. So that's what I did. I started by stop creating randomly, start studying winning videos. I focused on thumbnails and titles and packaging, and then I was consistent. I was building my consistency. And then 2 other things that I did, 2 other steps that I took was that I used content to build an audience first, and then I worried about the money second. So of course I was building this, with the intent for it to become my full-time job and take over, my full-time income. But I wanted to build a audience. I wanted to build, an excited audience of people that know, like, and trust me. And then I was able to kind of implement from there on forward. And that's what I did. I learned and I implemented multiple income streams. And I took those methods from what worked in those income streams, and I doubled down on them and I implemented them into my content strategy. Now, what are those income streams? Well, it's things like brand deals, it's things like AdSense, it is affiliate revenue, and then also I dabbled into giveaways and memberships. So those income streams were things that took my hobby and hopeful dreams and turned them into reality. So that was the steps that I took to really make sure that I accomplished what I set out to accomplish, and that created some really exciting outcomes. So let's get into that. What happened from putting all this work in? Here is the outcomes that I had received. I had, over time, built a multi-6-figure automotive brand. And I say multi, I mean six figures back to back, year after year. I grew to 1 million plus total audience and total followers across all my platforms, which are YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And landed 5-figure brand deals, multiple 5-figure brand deals. And they came way more often than I would have ever imagined. I turned making content around my hobby and passion of working on and building cars into my full-time career and into my full-time income. I was very quickly able to leave my job from, I think it was 2020, and then I just actually sat down to figure out when it was when I hit my first 100,000 subscribers, and that was 2 years and 3 months. So it took me 2 years and 3 months, and by that time, within that process, I think I quit around 50,000 subscribers, and I went full-time into this, and this was now my full-time job, and it was absolutely amazing. So, like I said, built a 6-figure business, automotive brand, grew to 1 million followers across total, my total audience across platforms, landed multiple 5-figure brand deals, and I turned content into my full-time income. But now something that I'm super excited about, which is what you guys are watching here on this YouTube channel and throughout these platforms that I'm creating now, is I'm helping others to do the same through ACA, which is Automotive Creator Academy. I've been wanting to build something like this for so long. And actually, as I said before, if you jump into my free community, you'll see access to something that I'm really excited to be helping you guys with. We have a bunch of students in there right now that are actively enjoying the program, but there is the free side, and there also is a few spots right now actually open to work with me directly. So if you are serious about turning your content into income, your automotive content into income, the link to apply to that is down below in my description. We've been having a ton of fun over there, and a lot of automotive creators are learning a ton, and they're taking this seriously, and they're taking the steps to be able to do the same exact thing that I've done, and I'm breaking every single thing down, not holding anything back, showing you guys the process. So if you're interested in that, please apply, and if you're serious, I'd love to be able to chat with you and see what we can do together. But in conclusion, some of the lessons that I've learned across the way or along the way with this is that you don't need more money, you need a better strategy. And that is one of the key takeaways. A lot of people say, I don't have enough money to be able to make the automotive content that I want because I don't have the parts to build. You don't need that. You do not need more money. You need a strategy. Because I started out with, I think it was $1,500. And that was what I started, my automotive journey with, buying a project car, having fun with it, doing really budget modifications, and which is what kind of grew into, my real automotive brand. Again, if you're interested in checking out or you're curious and you don't know what my main automotive brand is that I run and I have been running that has allowed me to do this, it is down below. You can click the link to check out that channel just so you know that I know what I'm talking about and that the proof, is there. Also, another conclusion and a lesson learned throughout the process is that content only works when it's packaged correctly. It has to be packaged correctly. Otherwise, it's not going to be clicked. You could have the best video in the world, but if your packaging does not excite your viewers or excite people on the YouTube platform to be able to click in and then watch that content, it's not going to perform. It's going to be a flop. The third thing is that consistency beats everything long term. So you have to stay consistent. You have to stay in the game. One of my favorite quotes right now is that you only fail when you quit. So do not quit, do not give up, stay consistent, and continue to work on your dreams and your goals and your aspirations. I love looking back to where, I was way back when, just an aspiring, automotive content creator. I had my first project car. I'm working in my parents' driveway, just doing whatever I could to get content out there. My content was absolutely trash. I had no clue what I was doing. I think my first upload was like 4.5 minutes long. And it was really something that I never would have imagined or thought, that I would have been able to accomplish these things. But because I was consistent and I stuck with it, we are at the point where we're at today, with an almost 300,000 subscriber YouTube channel, multiple hundreds of thousands of followers across Instagram and TikTok, and building, this brand that has generated me six figures, repeatedly, working with dream brands, landing brand deals that I would have never imagined, driving the cars that I love to drive and build, and these things that, again, young me would have never imagined, and it's very exciting. But the fourth and last conclusion and takeaway from the lesson learned is that the audience comes first and the money comes second. Okay, so money second always wins. Do not come into this thinking I'm gonna, generate hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, in your first week, first month, first year. It takes time. Build that audience. Focus on the audience. Focus on the viewers. Focus on the person behind the camera, and think about who that is. Think about talking to yourself. A young or maybe not young, aspiring automotive content creator. The people that you want to watch your content. Think about them. So that is my conclusions. That is a lesson learned. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Please subscribe if you enjoy this content. Hit that like button. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you want to see more on this channel. I hope you guys are excited because I am, and check out the links down below. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks for tuning in.